Julius Caesar was not just a general. He was not just a politician. He was something rarer and more dangerous than either, a man who understood that the most powerful weapon in human society is not an army, but a story. And he used that understanding to take on the most powerful republic in the world and nearly remake it from the ground up. He was killed for it, but even his death turned out to be his greatest victory. Here is the central question about Caesar that historians have argued over for 2000 years. Did he want to become king? Was he trying to destroy the republic, or was he trying to save it? My argument is that this debate misses the deeper point. Caesar was a myth maker, and understanding what that means is the key to everything he did. A myth maker is someone who does not just operate within the existing story of their society. They construct a new story, a new reality, so compelling that it begins to absorb and reshape the old one. They see themselves as the main character in a narrative they are writing, and they drive that narrative forward through their words, their actions, and their presence. We have a few of these figures in every generation. Steve Jobs did not just make computers, he constructed a mythology around technology as a lifestyle, and millions entered that mythology. Movies do this too. A great film does not just entertain you, it temporarily rewires your sense of what is real and possible. Donald Trump was doing exactly this when he ran on making America great again. Caesar was doing the same thing, but he was doing it in the context of a republic that was cracking under its own contradictions. Rome in the 2nd century BCE had achieved something remarkable. A small city had defeated Carthage, conquered the Greeks, and become the master of the Mediterranean. The finest hour in Roman memory was when Hannibal invaded Italy, destroyed a Roman army at Cannae, killed perhaps 20% of adult Roman men, and Rome still did not surrender. The rich freed their slaves to fight. The poor burned their own land to starve Hannibal's army. Everyone sacrificed, and Rome survived. But here is the problem. After Rome won, the rewards were distributed very unequally. The rich took the lion's share of the conquered land. The poor received almost nothing. Many were left landless. By the time Caesar arrived, Rome was an empire pretending to still be a small, virtuous republic. The values that had made Rome great had become a performance the elite used to justify a system that served only themselves. The three values Rome celebrated, piety, liberty, and republican virtue, had all become corrupted. Caesar understood intuitively what most politicians never grasp. People do not follow policies, they follow stories, they follow someone who makes them feel part of something larger. So Caesar made himself into a story. He was descended, he claimed, from the goddess Venus. He was a man of destiny. He spent years in the provinces, winning battles and writing about them in his own words, the Gallic Wars, because he knew that how you narrate your actions is as important as the actions themselves. When he crossed the Rubicon with his army breaking the sacred boundary of Rome, he was not just making a military move. He was writing the climactic scene of a story he had been building for decades. He was generous beyond any expectation. He pardoned enemies when the custom was to kill them. He gave enormous gifts to the people. He made his army a meritocracy, where talent mattered more than birth. His soldiers loved him not just because he paid them well, but because he fought alongside them and put their welfare first. This was not just personality. It was a calculated construction of a new myth that Rome could be better than it was, that the old corrupt system could be replaced by something that lived up to the values Rome claimed to believe in. Caesar was killed because his myth was winning. The old guard could feel reality shifting beneath their feet. The story that justified their power, that the Senate represented Roman virtue, was losing ground to Caesar's new story every day. But here is what his assassins did not understand. Killing Caesar did not kill his myth, it made it eternal. Because when Caesar was alive, the Roman people had doubts. They loved him but feared he might want to be king. When he was dead, the doubts collapsed. His will revealed he had given everything to his people. The guilt was overwhelming, and the myth became reality. Marcus Brutus had killed Caesar to prevent the tyrant, but if Caesar had not actually been a tyrant, then Brutus had committed an unforgivable act. And if Brutus now marched an army toward Rome, that would make Brutus the tyrant. He was paralyzed. He waited for his death. This is the lesson that Caesar's life and death teaches us. Myths are more powerful than armies. A well-constructed story about what a society is supposed to be can defeat any military force. Caesar built a myth that Rome could be great again in a real sense. He could not complete it in his lifetime, but his myth outlived him by centuries. Every leader who has seized the imagination of their society has done some version of what Caesar did. The question is whether the myth serves the people or the person. Caesar remains controversial 2000 years later because the question at the heart of his story is one we never stop asking. When a system is corrupt, does the person who breaks the rules to fix it deserve to be called a hero or a tyrant? The people who change the world are almost always the ones willing to construct a new story when the old one stops serving its purpose. And those who resist them are the ones whose comfort depends on the old story staying intact. That dynamic has not changed. It is playing out right now, in your lifetime, in every society you can think of. Subscribe if you want to keep thinking about it.